Suarez was unbelievably successful.
Suarez!
Through talent alone, he deserved everything he won. But no other elite footballer has repeatedly put his own career at risk the way he did. After arriving at Ajax at the age of 20, Suarez hit the ground running. He was scoring every other game, quickly establishing himself as one of the most dangerous forwards in the league. Within 2 seasons, he was Ajax Player of the Year. By his third, he was captain, leading the club to a KNVB Cup and finishing the season as the Eredivisi's top scorer, earning himself the Dutch Footballer of the Year and another Ajax Player of the Year. He was a serious talent, and it wouldn't take long for the rest of Europe to notice him. But not everything was as perfect as it seemed. During his second season, Ajax head coach Marco van Basten expressed concerns about how many yellow cards he was receiving. But this wasn't a surprise to Ajax. They were already aware of his behaviour, including headbutting a referee at his past club and getting caught drinking and partying while underage. It was the risk they were willing to take for a player they saw loads of potential in. But the frequent cautions from the referee were becoming apparent. He ended up missing 3 games that season thanks to the 9 yellow cards he received. But the club knew they couldn't be too harsh on him. At the end of the day, he was playing out of his skin every single week. After returning from the 2010 World Cup, a tournament where he'd already walked a fine line, Suarez was back to his best. Everything was contained, and Ajax were on track for their first league title in years. But it didn't take long for his behavioural issues to resurface, and when Ajax faced PSV, tensions boiled between the sides and Suarez took things a step too far. He bit Otman Bakal. In a single moment, Suarez had become the cannibal of Ajax, and a liability that the club could no longer ignore. It was humiliating. After years of protection and patience, he crossed the line on the pitch in front of everyone. Ajax acted quickly, suspending him for 2 matches and issuing a fine. But that wasn't enough for the Dutch FA, as they extended the suspension to 7 league matches. After Suarez apologised through a video he uploaded to Facebook, all he could do was sit and wait. But Ajax had a more serious problem. What do you do with a reputation like his, especially when he's your best player? On the 28th of January 2011, Suarez was sold to Liverpool, and just like Ajax all those years ago, they knew what they were getting themselves into. An unpredictable forward capable of dragging a struggling team back into relevance was a risk they believed was worth taking. And at first, it looked like it would pay off. He scored on his debut in front of the Kop, and Liverpool began climbing the table. Suarez quickly became one of their most important players, even while not scoring as many goals in his first couple of seasons as he would have hoped. Despite that, his influence was undeniable. He finished 6th in the 2011 Ballon d'Or, Liverpool lifted the League Cup, and the club had finally found the forward they were looking for. But the football was never the full story. As his influence on the pitch grew, so did the attention around him. He argued with referees, went down easily, reacted to tackles late, and consistently took the piss out of the league. If you supported Liverpool, you loved him, but if you didn't, you hated him. Even as Liverpool improved and finally looked like a dangerous side again, the focus was rarely on the result. After a 1-1 draw against Manchester United, Patrice Evra accused Suarez of racially abusing him during the match, an allegation that immediately exploded within the football community. The FA launched an investigation, lip readers were brought in, Uruguayan language experts were consulted, and statements were taken from both clubs. Suarez denied everything, saying that he only used the word Negro, a term he claimed was commonly used in Uruguay without racist intent. But Evra said it was used repeatedly. There was no audio, nor any clear visual proof. No one could confirm exactly what had been said. So the FA ruled on the balance of probabilities. Suarez was found guilty, and he received an 8-match ban and a £40,000 fine. At their next game following the verdict, Liverpool players warmed up wearing t-shirts with Suarez's face, a public show of support that instantly backfired. The controversy followed both clubs into their next meeting, where Suarez refused to shake Evra's hand before kickoff. A half-time tunnel confrontation followed, and then Evra celebrated wildly in front of Suarez and the Liverpool supporters. Liverpool's owners stepped in, and they forced apologies from Suarez and his manager, Kenny Dalglish. For the first time, Suarez wasn't being protected. And it worked. But in April 2013, when Liverpool vs Chelsea, it happened again.
Oh my word.
Suarez bit Branislav Ivanovic. Completely unprovoked, ignored only by the officials on the pitch. Even the Prime Minister called upon the FA to make an example out of him. And they did. A whopping 10-match ban. And with that, the benefit of the doubt disappeared completely. Suarez was a problem. But despite the bans, the football didn't stop. When he returned from suspension, he was in perfect form, playing the best football of his life. He won the Golden Boot, while also breaking multiple scoring records with his 31 goals in 33 games. He won the PFA and Football Writers Association Player of the Year and the Premier League Player of the Season. Liverpool even finished second, and they were getting ever so close to winning their first Premier League title. After everything that happened, maybe he really had changed. But they would have to wait, because the 2014 World Cup was right around the corner. After being pictured in a wheelchair, rumours started to spread that he wouldn't be able to play. He missed the opening match against Costa Rica, but he started against England, and he scored not once, but twice. Uruguay survived, and he hadn't lost his form. Up next, Italy. If they won, they were through to the round of 16. With the nation on his shoulders and millions watching from all over the world, Suarez did the unthinkable.
Dare I say it, that he's had a little bite at Chiellini. Surely not again.
You guessed it. He bit him. He fell to the ground clutching his own face, while Chiellini had visible bite marks on his shoulder. Suarez continued to play, and Uruguay scored the winner just 2 minutes later. Italy were eliminated. Once again, he had controversially changed the course of yet another World Cup match after sitting on the brink of elimination. But this time, the consequences would be far more serious. 2 days later, FIFA responded. He was banned from all football activity for 4 months and for the next 9 international matches, ruling him out of the next Copa America. It was the longest World Cup ban in history. His sponsorship deal was over, Uruguay couldn't compete against Colombia in the round of 16 without him, and Suarez was sent home in disgrace. At 27 years old in his prime, his career was hanging by a thread. Nobody could comprehend how a player with everything had once again undone himself in seconds. The previous year, Suarez had already been pushing for a move away from Liverpool. After his second ban, the media put excessive attention on his family, and Liverpool's struggles in the league only made things worse. But the club stood firm, even rejecting an unusual bid of £40,001 from Arsenal. After weeks of back and forth between Suarez, Brendan Rodgers, and owner John W. Henry, the decision was made, and he had the season of his life. But with what happened at the World Cup, it wasn't the same. He knew the pressure from the media would intensify, and his family would be caught up in it again. Even though Liverpool still loved him, it had become borderline impossible to defend him. Keeping Suarez meant more headlines, more incidents, and there was no guarantee he could keep performing under that weight. Yet there was an even bigger question. Would another club even want him? His behaviour had become so severe, it was always a gamble to even play him. And then against all odds, Barcelona stepped in. They didn't believe he had changed, or that he would ever change, but they believed he could be managed. And if Suarez was ever going to work again, it would only be somewhere that didn't need him at the centre of everything. Alongside Messi, Neymar, he didn't have to be the star player anymore, and he could disappear when needed. Except the ban followed him to Spain. 4 months without playing, but he was now allowed to train. It wasn't much, but it was enough. When the ban finally lifted, the football took over. Even though he might have left his past behind, it still followed him everywhere he played. Fans across Europe continued to boo him. Many still saw him as a villain, waiting for him to slip up again. But this time he didn't. Goals in La Liga, goals in El Clasico, goals in the Champions League. Even if he had a late start to the season, he couldn't stop performing. And before he knew it, he was a treble winner. In the space of a single year, he'd gone from football's biggest liability to one of the most decisive players in one of the greatest teams ever. But after serial success for years on end, Barca were on the decline and Suarez was told he was no longer wanted by the club. It felt like the end. People thought he was finished. So he does what any player of his caliber would do. He moves to Atletico Madrid and drags them to one of the most impressive league titles in La Liga history at 33 years old. Whether you love him or hate him, it's hard to deny that Luis Suarez is one of the greatest players ever. He broke numerous goal-scoring records, won countless trophies, and carried the team on his back wherever he played. But he could have been greater, and it's difficult to ignore how often he tried to destroy it all himself.